We're out in the laundromat early, and we get to see how everything dried up from that wonderful paint day we had yesterday. Wow, what a day that was yesterday. We're really coming down the home stretch on this paint job and on the restoration, but we got a couple of parts for Steve out here. We're going to bring everything in where it's nice and warm. Flip the battery chargers and bring the parts in where they can be nice and warm for the next couple of days. So of course every morning, even before I have my coffee, I get out here and chop the ice, bring the parts in. Now it's time to get inside and warm up. Now what we do, what I've done in the past couple of years, leave the parts outside overnight. That seems to let them dry up with a minimum of effort. Then I bring them down and I put them underneath the heating vent. If I'm in a rush, I can hang them from those hooks up by the heating vent. But I found that, and it's critical information that I can share, I found that if you let them dry a couple extra days, it's a lot easier to do the sanding and buffing. Now that's just under my shop conditions, certainly not if you live in a warm weather climate. And it's allowed Steve's parts for the Ninja to, I think they're just exceptional. He did a great job yesterday wet sanding this out, and it shows. You can see that last little bit of effort. It really paid off. I think this is going to be one really nice motorcycle when he gets it done. He can take pride in the fact he did a lot of the sanding and the donkey work himself. And he's Irish. So today I got my marching orders from Karen, and it looks like I have a normal day. I should be able to get one of these parts sanded out, and if it ever goes above freezing, I don't want to rush it though. I want to wait for a day like we had yesterday with Steve to do the clear. And as I come down the home stretch here, I don't want to take any chances that I've compromised this in any way. This has really exceeded my wildest expectation. Going back to the days when I made these two concept sketches, and to see it now, sitting here ready for the final week or so of painting, I couldn't be more happy. I'd be happier if I had another cup of coffee though. Okay, the sandpaper we're using today, Mirka 1200, same as we were using with Steve's job yesterday. Now I remember the day we painted this and the wind was howling, and what happens when the wind is blowing? You get all these little dust spots. They all sand out, of course. The decals, I'm concerned I had one bad spot. You can see it's right there. I may have to really be very careful when I sand over that, and maybe even put a couple extra coats of clear over that. Most of the other stuff just has the normal dust and orange peely kind of thing. But the idea is at this step, and we're not going to try to rush this, we're not going to try to paint on a day the wind is terrible or whatever. Now we want to put that final nice finish on it. I want this flat sanded with 1200 before I put those final coats of clear on. And when you want to turn that finish into this finish, which is pretty flawless and amazingly nice and shiny, there's a price to be paid. You've got to not leave out steps. And that's why I try to include every step on every video. Maybe it gets a little boring. I still think it's good information. And it's really information that really is not, it's not as easy as you think it is to get the information, because a lot of people that are putting the information on YouTube even, what's happening is, and they have a body shop, they have the $1,000 spray gun, they have climate controlled conditions, dust filters in their air or whatever. But I'm trying to do it for the average person who works like I do out of the cellar of his house and does it on a budget. And that's the information I want to impart on my videos. Now, I've never in my whole life had a real spray booth or a real spray gun or really anything, but the truth is I've been able to paint some stuff, and the biggest thing, I've been able to pass that information on. One of the tools that's going to be really helpful in this sand out, because most of this is flat, is this soft, I call it a nail file. In fact, this one's delaminating. I have to take Karen shopping this afternoon, at some point in the day anyway, And I'm going to pick up some more of these, and they come from a place called Face Values. It's cheap as can be, and they work great. This is a very useful tool. I've shown this on almost every video. Now, because it's a very simple thing, because this paint is not brand new, it's a, I don't know, at least a week old, maybe more. Here's the thing I always like to do first. It's a very simple thing. Take a clean piece of sandpaper, pick any spot, usually an inconspicuous spot, but it really doesn't matter. I want to just do my test that the paint has cured. Now, there's a lot of reasons the paint might not cure. If I left this in the garage, it would take longer under the cold conditions. In the house here, seems like 2-3 days is enough. But you never know. And this is what I like to do. Now I'm done sanding. That's kind of flat there. I look at the sandpaper, and there's no little spots of chewing gum. If there are, it means I'm trying to rush it, and I should wait another day or so, put it up by the heating vent. Now on these big flat areas, you could use any number of sanding blocks. I just find this one to be real convenient. The reason is it's got a texture sandpaper on both sides, and what happens is that grips the paper, and on a day like today where I'll be sanding for 3 or 4 hours, it gives your arm a little break. So now the long laborious thing is just to go over this whole part, divide it up into segments, do one segment at a time. And this is just a thing of patience. Now, if I take my time, go around the edges very carefully. I doubt that today is going to be a painting day. It was so cold this morning out in the garage, and there's ice on a pond a couple inches thick in spots. So, but it's going to allow me to do more sanding and get this. I want to show this real quick. And I'm not sure you can see it, but it'll be when I'm done. Hopefully this will be flat. I won't have any moon craters, no little dust in it. It'll be flat and dull. Now I do have this one little spot, and again, I'm just doing this before I actually sand the whole part with a hard block. I want to see if I'm going to be able to get that little area flat. I don't want to be so aggressive that I sand down into the decals, because I can just simply put more clear on top of this. This will not be a big deal to do it. It didn't affect the decal at all. It's just you're outdoor in my backyard painting, and stuff flying off the roof, and birds are pooping on you and whatever. But hey, as I said, the challenge of this is always that you can do it on a budget. You can do it in your own house. You don't have to pay rent for a shop or anything. And if you do have a shop and you have a spray booth and you have all the good equipment, hey, I'm jealous. That's as simple as that. Now, I don't know. This looks like it's going to sand right out. Because we've let this sit, I have a feeling it is going to sand right out. Yeah, it looks like it is. Now, I use this as one of my little segments. Got this as flat as necessary. There's still a couple little soft spots, but I don't want to get too cute, because we're going to put plenty more clear on top of this. At least 2 or 3 more coats, so I don't have to risk going down in and hitting the edge of a decal or anything like that. As long as I get that flat. I did this little area here. Now I'll pick another area here. It doesn't matter how you do it. If just inside the scoop, maybe divide it up into 10, 12, 15 areas and do one at a time. And that's the way I've been able to do them. Now, because this area down here where the big Yamaha is, the large decal, I can use a soft flat block to start the sanding. And this is a critical bit of information that I found works well for me. Might work well for you too. I try to block sand over big decals like this that are on a flat spot with a big flat block. That's step one. Now what's going to happen when you use a big flat block, it doesn't go down in between the letters. And this will get what amounts to be the black on the Yamaha to be perfectly flat, but down in the grooves, it's not going to be flat. So now what happens at some point in time, as I see all the letters are flat, I don't want to sand any more than I have to either. I see all the letters are flat. Now I can take that same piece of sandpaper and just fold it back. And now this will go down in between the letters and around the edge. So by doing this, I'm not taking any more clear off than I have to. I don't want to take a milling machine and mill this flat. I want to get, it's going to go down in there. But I want the whole thing to be flat. And on the next coat of clear, I'll be sure to put at least one extra coat of clear over the decals. So I have plenty of material to sand and buff to get it perfectly flat when it comes time for the final buffing. Now that's really a hard concept to understand, and a lot of people that I've tried to help with paintwork don't understand it's a multi-step process to get this sanded. It isn't like you can just take a big block and sand everything. That's only going to get you so much. Everything has a little shortcut or a little trick or something that should make it easier. Now at the very end, I want to go in every dimension, because this is going to be another one of my little blocks. And then I want to candle it, and if I've missed any spots, of course, just go back. But the big flat block is only going to do so much. Getting around the edges of the letters and getting them flat, I pretty much have to do by hand. There's always the spots you can do with the block. And then I would always suggest at the very end, and you think you're done, no matter what, go over the whole part by hand. It's the last part that gets rid of those last 10% of the little nubs and things. Now it's perfectly flat now. And I wanted to do that in real time so you could see about how much time it took to do this block. Now I'll do this block, then maybe here. Probably 10 or 15 blocks. But each one of the blocks, to get it perfect, that it's flat, you get rid of all the paint nubs, and it's just as flat as you can make it. And the better you do it now, that final coat of clear will just lay right down. Like we had the day yesterday with Steve's parts, the clear just, that was amazing. That was an amazing day yesterday. Now just to show how I've segmented this up, I've got that done. The decal's done, the back is done. What I'm going to do is finish off the white, being especially critical about getting that stripe that I can't feel it. I've already got this done, one by one. This will be a separate section. Then you can see, if you look real close at this, all that little dust, when you're done sanding, perfectly flat. So what it allows me to do, and it probably allows you to, is you paint outside. If you do get dust in it, or little paint imperfections and nibs and nubs and whatever, peanut butter, whatever you get, as long as you do these final steps, you don't have to worry. The buff and compound is going to get that perfect. Now as I'm segmenting this out, this is one of the spots in here that has a lot of reverse curves and kind of difficult to get your fingers down into the scoops here, but the little sanding stick is a big help. And like I say, I'm going to get some more of these today. I got to take Karen shopping. We're going to get more. I don't know why I don't buy it like 10 at a time. That they're 50 cents a piece or something. Because I'm not that smart. Anyway, this is where it's really, really handy to have one of these sanding tools to get in here. And this is a spot that we'll see up around the edge as I'm working this part out. And there's always other ways to do things. I know that, especially and more than anything paint related, bodywork related. Everybody's got their secret little tricks and their things, and the only motive that I have here is that if you're interested in this and you don't have the latest and greatest equipment and everything, you could still do some pretty nice work. I say that over and over again. And I mean it. I'm not saying it so I can cash a paycheck. Anyway, little by little, yep, I'll move on. Little by little, this part is really coming together. Now, it's really a good feeling when you get down the end, but there's still some nubs in here. These paint nubs. And I'm going to take a break. Karen wants to go shopping. And what's good about taking a break right here is when I get back, I'll have a fresh set of eyes and I will re-go over every part of this. I don't want to leave anything in there. This really block sanded out beautifully. The decals, more than anything else, I want it to be perfect. And thank you, John Pothier. Wow, they came out great. This decal, great. I gotta obviously and see, of course, how the weather's going to play out, if I can get clear on this today. But if I can't, I'm not going to take any chances on rushing it, that's for sure. Time to go shopping. So we get back from shopping. This is so funny. There's 10 different flavors of Cheerios, and the only one Karen can have, the one without sugar, is the one they're out of stock on. So anyway, what the reason I'm showing this is, wow, it's gone up over freezing. And there's very little breeze. I think we're going to get some painting done, so I'm going to try to finish that part up after lunch, have a split day, and be glad they had my Cheerios anyway. Now I'm just really happy the way this weather turned out. I had no idea at all it was going to turn out like today. I need to detail out just one more part here. Actually, I would have waited to go shopping tonight if I knew it was going to be this nice. But we got one more part of this to do. And I will try to take advantage of the fact that because I look at the weather always a couple days, 3-4 days ahead of time, and it's supposed to get colder and colder and colder. And today was not supposed to go above freezing, and it was 34 degrees coming back from shopping. So we can take advantage of that, that's for sure. Now, but I don't want to rush this. I'll take my time. Probably spend another half hour here. Detail out the part. Every part I can possibly get, every little nub and everything out. Tack rag it down and should be ready to put some of that nice 5-star clear on. Boy, the other day that paint just laid down. I don't know if it's going to lay down today. With paint, you never know. That's the thing. And the thing about doing these restorations in the winter, a day like today comes along, a split day. Days come, the baby comes over, friends come over. No 2 days are ever exactly the same. Now, just waiting to tack rag this down. And we are ready. Boy, who could ever expect 2 days like this in a row? We had this killer day yesterday, and today, wow. All I can say is wow. What a day. Now these 2 gallons are a little bit different. This is clear coat, and this is original speed clear coat. But to be honest, they're both working great. Now, I really didn't, at the beginning of this day, even dream about getting paint on this today. But the way it played out, I guess Steve went to church is what happened. We stole one of Steve's days. Wow, from every angle, that looks like it's going to be just great. Now, I'm going to give this about a half an hour to tack out, and then put one more coat on. And you can see the sun is getting ready to set in the west here. Yeah, about a half an hour. I'll be ready for the last coat and then into the laundromat to dry. Now every time I just think to myself, all of the hours, all of the sanding, all of the effort, it's truly a labor of love. But when you get to this point, an example is with those decals, all the pluses and minuses, and when you get to the final product and you see they lay out perfect, and you could run your hands over those decals and you can't feel them at all. That is some very, very nice decaling. Thank you again and again, John Pothier. Now I did something else that might be a good tip, and I don't know if I'm going to do this again until I see how the part dries. What I did, I laid out all the cans, and since this table of course has got dust and dirt and there's no wind blowing, what I didn't want to have happen was any dust getting the paint. So what I did, I just took the clear and put a coat of clear on, just dusted it on, and then hopefully the cans will act like well, like flypaper or something, and keep the dust, if there is any, coming off the table, off the part. Not sure that's going to work perfectly, but it's got to be better than nothing. I brought this part into the back room in between coats, hoping that there'd just be a little less chance dust or squirrel dung would get on it. Boy, if you only could see this in real life, it's really laying down nicely. All the work we put into that finally paying off. And paying off big time too. Well, the only thing left to do, get this into the laundromat and let it dry in the garage overnight. Now at the end of every day, I like to take a look in the laundromat here. We only got one part in the laundromat. It's going to sit out here drying overnight. I am so happy the way those decals came out. I was just afraid we were going to have some kind of problem. All along the way, we learned a lot, we shared a lot, and I think they're going to be one of the focal points of this bike once we assemble it. And we only have one more part really to paint, and then there's a lot of details after that though. And then the easy part, add it back into the pitching rotation and wait for the baseball season to start. I can't wait. Believe me, I'm sick of chopping ice. I'm sick of this winter. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.